Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Jimmy's JamBox. We're here. We're back at it again, and we're going to get on into it. But before we do, as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And with that being said, here's a quick word from our sponsor. Organic herbs and botanicals, skincare and edibles, wellness for body and mind. The Brothers Apothecary. Fine teas and remedies. All right, thank you all so much for watching. Again, shout out The Brothers Apothecary. Make sure to click the link below and go check them out. I guarantee you're going to like it. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get on into it. Here is today's guest.
Yo, it's Lil Mighty from Third Eye Goonies. What up?
Hello. Hey, thank you so much for joining us.
I'm glad to be here, bro.
Yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about, where you're from, what you do, give us that Tinder profile of your involvement with music.
From Cincinnati, Ohio.
Oh, yeah.
Recently just moved here from Arizona.
Okay.
I make alternative hip hop, rock, really just blend in with all the genres.
Yeah, I was checking out some of your music. You've definitely got kind of a wider range of sound, and we'll definitely dig into that a little bit more in the middle here, but let's start right at the beginning. What got you into music initially?
My mom, Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Okay.
Cottonmouth Kings.
Playing the quality jams right from the start.
Eminem, Tech Nine.
Oh, yeah.
The golden ones, Snoop Dogg, 50 Cent.
Yeah. And was anybody around you a musical artist at all, or are you the first generation of musician in your household?
My stepdaddy's really into music.
Oh, cool.
And 3 or 4 different rock bands.
Oh,
now. No. So he's been always around me since I was 7, 8 years old.
Yeah.
So I was always influenced by him as well.
Hell yeah. And do you play any instruments yourself?
I'm teaching myself how to play guitar.
Oh, cool.
But I know how to play trumpet.
Oh, okay. That's an interesting background to have for sure then.
Yeah.
And did you learn that in school, or did you pick that up on your own?
Yeah, it was in school. I wanted to play percussion, but they was no.
Yeah, no, that's a tough instrument to have in the house for sure.
Right.
Oh, yeah. And then for this next question, we have a couple foundation ones we check in with everybody on. And this first one, it's one we ask early, it's one we ask often, and it's definitely a crowd favorite. What was the first album you ever bought with your own money?
Fucking Slim Shady LP.
Okay, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I have to mention this every time. Eminem is 50, I guess, he was Slim Shady then, but Eminem is 50% of the first album answers. It's really interesting to see how influential he has been in so many people's lives as far as music goes. Yeah. But what made you want to buy that as your first one?
Bonnie and Clyde 97.
Okay, hell yeah.
I knew that song was going to be on the album, so I was I'm gonna have my mom to buy it for me, and she did, and I was thank God. I was she wouldn't buy me Grand Theft Auto, but she would buy me Eminem.
I mean, that makes sense. I get that. It's the lesser of two evils for sure.
Right.
But also, music is a little more constructive. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I get it.
Sure.
I support that decision if she had to pick one.
You're right.
And then what was the first live show you ever went to? That was one you wanted to go to. So you saw it was happening, you got tickets, and you went to it.
Lecrae.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What made you want to go to that?
Couple of my buddies, we were in a Christian group, or Baptist or whatever, and we were 15, 16, and they all really wanted to go, and I already heard his album Rehab, and I was oh, it's actually pretty fire, so we went, and it was lit, and I actually got to meet Lecrae. He signed my wristband, he signed the album, so it was a pretty cool experience. That was my first actual concert.
Oh, okay, hell yeah.
Mainstream, I went to Machine Gun Kelly and Young Thug, and that was insane.
I was gonna say slightly different contrast,
right?
There
two different worlds
for sure. Yeah, but I bet that show was wild.
Bro, it was insane, bro.
Yeah, hell yeah. And then before we get into more of you in the current day, do you have a defining moment where you decided you wanted to take music more seriously?
Yeah, definitely when I was like 18 years old.
Mhm.
To see where my life was heading, I was like selling drugs, getting really deep into it. Like people was getting caught around me, people were dying around me, and I was like, man, I was like, what am I even doing here? Like, so I really just like flipped the script on everybody, just started focusing on music, and literally 3 months after that worked out for me. I got out of that situation.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you made the decision to move over to music.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But now let's go ahead and let's get on into you in the current day.
Oh.
And we're going to get a super easy one out of the way. How'd you pick the name?
I was in jail and I was having trouble finding a rap name.
Mhm.
And I was hanging out around a bunch of like Crips, Gangster Disciples, whatever. I was in jail my whole teenage life. So it's like I adjusted to the community.
Mhm.
And basically, bro was like, hey, you go punch on bro. I'll give you my dinner for like 2 weeks. And I was like, okay, bet. So I went, I like ran up on dude, hit him in the classroom, beat his ass, got sent to a different facility, came back, and then I did it again. And I was like one of the shortest, like skinniest dudes in the jail. And my homie Dale walked up to me. He was like, hey, bro. He was like, people may say a lot. He was like, you might be short, you might be small. He's like, but you mighty as hell. And I was like, right then and there, I was like, Mighty. I was like, Little Mighty. But first I was like, Little Mighty 420. I was like, nah, I got to drop the 420.
That's fair. Hey, I mean, it sounds like you took that opportunity and made something out of it.
Yeah, literally it clicked right then and there. As soon as I heard him say Mighty in my head, it was just like that name. Boom. Yeah. And I got out of jail, did my research. Nobody had it.
That's what I was going to say when I was looking. I was like, man, this sounds like one that once I search, I'm going to have to look for the picture to like know which one. But no, you're the one that comes up.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, it's definitely a solid name. I mean, Mighty is a powerful word. Little is almost like a misdirection, you know what I mean? So
right,
like,
yeah.
It kind of gives you that, like, you know, it's that mentality, very small but mighty kind of thing. Very like David and Goliath-esque. So I dig that for sure.
Exactly.
But now let's go ahead and let's talk about your writing process. And we're going to break it up into chunks, but we're going to start right at the beginning. So when you get inspired, you're ready to make a track. What are some of the things you do to get one started?
It all depends if the beat is played first or if I'm going through something in my head and I just need to get something wrote down. Like sometimes, like if I'm really feeling something, I'll just write it down on notes. It'll be different notes, or I'll just type it in on my phone and then there'll be a beat later on. But 9 times out of 10, realistically, just play the beat, freestyle. And like sometimes I'll freestyle a whole verse. And then I'll be like, okay, I'll go back and then I'll take the things that I like and then I'll rewrite extra shit.
Yeah.
Delete that verse and then just move on to the next. So it's like freestyling and writing kind of goes hand in hand, but I usually freestyle more than I write. Okay, but here lately, I've been writing more than I freestyle. But it's, like I said, it goes like hand in hand.
Yeah, no, I dig that. And like, do you find that over time, like writing has like helped your process more, like as far as like coming up with more concise thoughts earlier, or do you just like to write so that you can get the idea in the moment and let it live at the right time?
I like to write if a beat comes on and instantly my brain automatically catches the riff and gives me like 4 or 5 ideas and I'm like, oh, that would sound good. I'm pulling out my phone and I'm writing because I want to make sure it sounds perfect and complex.
Oh yeah, no, I dig that. And then once you get a track finished writing, so it doesn't have to be like released and put out per se, but you've finished writing it. So, you know, you have time to start like learning it and things like that. How long does it usually take you to get comfortable to perform it?
Right then and there. Me and Santavo, when I first met him.
Shout out Santavo.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out Third Eye Goonies. We did a song called Peace of Mind and Bad for My Soul. Left 11 studios, went straight to Rainbow City and performed both of those songs
yeah.
and there. So it doesn't take us long to memorize a song and get it going.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess when you're writing it as well versus just freestyling, I imagine you've kind of gotten it down a little bit by the time you're ready to record it. You've probably gone through it at least a couple times.
Yeah, like 1,000,000 times in my head.
Yeah, hell yeah. And then looking back on, let's look at the last year-ish. So we'll say all of 2023 to now. How did your process change in that time?
Oh, it was a pretty crazy transition because I went from Arizona, which is all like drill trap, trap club drill scene. Then went back to Ohio, which is all trap drill scene.
Yeah.
It's like, honestly, I got so tired of doing it. It's so easy to make those types of songs. And then it's like the second I came back here on vacation for like 2 weeks, it was like my brain automatically just started going back to the things that I was working on like 3 years ago when I was back here, like honestly elevating my mind and my different sounds and sense of music. Like,
yeah.
So, yeah, I would say just Oregon and Washington in general. I don't know what it is, but just like the second I step here, just always like something different. I'm evolving somehow as an artist.
No, I could dig that. I think the Pacific Northwest in general has this really interesting mix of like very diverse sounds. First of all, it's not just rap and hip hop up here. There's so many things that kind of intersect with each other.
Right.
But then there's also like a heavy West Coast influence because, you know, we are very much a part of it, even though a lot of that kind of comes from like the California origins. But it really made its way up here and kind of lives in like the core of the sound. But then it's blended with everything else. So there is a really diverse like flow and cadence to this area in particular because it doesn't attach itself to one thing, but it kind of lives in this foundation of a certain sound.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I could definitely see how that would be, you know, definitely inspiring for sure to come out here, especially when you've been around, you know, certain types for a longer time anyways.
Right.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, I was jumping around your SoundCloud a little bit. You know, SoundCloud doesn't do a good job of putting things in order, so it's like kind of hard to gauge like what came when and things like that. But you actually have a really broad sound within your genre. I mean, you change up your pace, you change up your tone, you change up your attitude. Sometimes you're more melodic, sometimes you're more punchy, and you have like, you know, you have hype tracks, you have emotional tracks, and everything in between. But like, the big thing that stood out is that your vocal sound seems to be very consistent. Like it's always very present. It seems to be mixed well most of the time. Like, you know, like you have that consistency of presence. And I mean, you know, even though you like, I don't feel like I saw anything that had come out like super, super recently, but I know you just did a track with Santavo that came out recently, Bad for the Soul.
Yeah, for my soul.
Or My Soul, sorry.
Yeah,
I wrote it on his episode, not on yours. I apologize.
No, you're
but like, you know, if I had to pick a track personally, it'd be D&E. I thought that track really, it was melodic, but you snapped on the verse, you brought the energy, but you kept it like tight. And you had these moments where you would just let the track breathe. You really kind of sat into it.
Yeah.
So I that one for me was the one that just like stood out when I listened to your catalog. But I'm curious to know, what is your favorite song to perform?
Damn. D&E is actually a really dope one because in Arizona, like, they all fuck with it. I don't even know, like, why. Like, out of all the other songs I have, but that one did pop. But, man, bro, I want to say my song Stay Alive.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Song, and it's, like, super heavy, like, trap drill, bass bumping type shit, and it gets the whole crowd lit every time I do it, and it's just like it's super powerful when I do it. So I would say Stay Alive, but at the same time, me and Santavo's song Mamacita and Bad for My Soul, every time we do those songs too, it's outrageous.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I would say those are like top 3 at least.
I could dig that. I do have to give an honorable mention to Still Pimpin'.
Oh,
that track is a lot of fun. Like the fact that you're using the Still Tippin' beat, but like sliced it up and like made it your own. Like that. Like first of all, I haven't heard Still Tippin' in forever. So like after I listened to that, I immediately had to go back to that one. But like it just kind of had this like this energy to it that I thought kind of did the original track justice as well. So I didn't want to not mention that one, even though it didn't make it to the number 1 spot for me per se.
And shout out King Jack Otto too, because he's on that song. He's kind of like he's from Chicago, and he's got a huge catalog. Like Drake listens to him and shouts him out on the podcast.
Oh, hell yeah.
He's doing pretty well for himself. But shout out King Jack for giving me that feature, man.
Oh yeah. And then looking at more of your current music. So like I said, stuff that, you know, I mean, you already kind of touched on it now, but let's look at music that you're working on right now that hasn't come out.
Yeah.
How would you describe it? So like, I want you to use like active description words. How would you describe some things that are about it that you enjoy and that you're looking forward to people enjoying as well?
Emotional.
Okay.
Very strong emotional. I want to say also like nostalgic, kind of bringing back like old Linkin Park, Evanescence sounds, like things that I remember we used to make like my mom and their friends happy.
Yeah.
We used to make all of us happy, like the 2000s era. So
is that leaning more into like more the alternative side?
Yeah, I would say so.
Oh yeah.
Very, very strong and emotional things. We got like, I want to say some like active type songs, like we're killing it like back to back, but most of it is like very strong and emotional stuff.
Oh yeah, well, definitely looking forward to that. And now for this next question, we're going to zoom out. We've dialed all the way into your music up to like the very present day, but I want to take a step back and I want to look at music as a whole.
Yeah.
What are some of the things about current music that's coming out that you really enjoy?
I really like the disses between J. Cole and Kendrick. I feel like that's the only spark in hip hop I've seen for a really long time. Like, I feel like for a minute it's just been like gang members killing each other, but now it's like actual lyrical beef. Like they're going back to back in the studio. Metro Boomin, Dre, Kendrick, Future. I think it's really cool. It kind of feels like a Marvel versus DC universe. Like,
okay, that's an interesting take on it for sure.
Yeah, so I'm really enjoying that. But anything else, like I don't feel like there's really any attention in hip hop besides that right now.
I got you. Well, I mean, we don't have to stick to just hip hop. Like, what are some current sounds in music in general that you're enjoying? What's some like newer stuff that you're listening to?
Really just listen to locals.
Okay.
Really just people, Arizona, out here. Like, I don't really go on YouTube and find the newest song, or like people will show me and I'm like, okay, I like that. Like Future, Kendrick, like that. I like that.
I do like that. I gotta give credit. That album is actually pretty dope.
7 Minute Drill, that song was fire too, but I can't really say that anybody in music is really like giving me like an awe sense. Like,
I gotcha. Well, I've only ever interviewed one person from Arizona that was like in Arizona at the time. So I'm curious to know, who are some of the local artists there that you're listening to?
Boss Lyric, Rich Palace, King Jack Otto, Cheddar the Truth, YGB Drex, Tiny Toons. It's a lot of talent out there.
Oh yeah.
And shout out GMK, shout out Hakeem from Empire, shout out all them. They're doing their thing out there. They're making money. So.
Oh yeah. Well, definitely. I keep telling everybody I'm gonna make it down that way. So. Yeah, I've got some names I appreciate.
It's pretty lit. I can get you some connections out there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm gonna go check out all the names you just listed. So I've got a good start. I appreciate that.
I got you.
Now, before we move into this next portion, we've got one last question to go, and this is probably the densest question in the interview. But we've talked a lot about your experiences with music, the action, the reactions, things like that. But when it's just you and music one-on-one, what does music give back to you?
Peace, balance. It's like meditation to me. Like nothing else in this world matters. Like I live, I breathe, die for this. This is everything I have. This is all I have. I don't have anything else. So music speaks a lot more to me than it does for like the average person.
Not gonna appreciate that. I mean, just given how you kind of like transitioned out of one life into it, it sounds like you've really owned the situation itself and like made the best out of it. So I can appreciate that for sure.
Yeah.
I've always called music my sand garden. You know what I mean? Like you can change the way it looks every time, but at the end of the day, you're still going through the motions to kind of bring you that center.
Yeah, for sure. Sure.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on to some hypothetical questions. And for these, the sky's the limits. They're all made up, so the answers are allowed to be as well.
Sweet.
But this first one's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
If you could work with any one person, the only requirement is they have to be alive, but it can be anybody. Who would you want to work with?
Machine Gun Kelly.
Oh, hell yeah. You just had that on lock.
Yeah.
And how would you want to work with him? Would you want to like make a track? Would you want to have him feature on you? Would you want to feature on his? Did you just want to spend time together?
He's going to feature on my song.
There it is.
He's going to be on my pop punk song. We going to go crazy.
Hell yeah. And then subsequently, and I know you've already worked with a handful of people already, but who's a local artist in the area that you haven't gotten to connect with yet, but you would like to?
Anthony Rivera.
Oh, hell yeah. His name's come up a few times now.
Yeah, bro's. I just seen him perform. Bro went crazy. The Fish. Haven't worked with any of the Fish yet.
Oh, damn.
I'm trying to.
I mean, there's so many of them.
Yeah.
If you throw a one direction, you'll probably find one.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, everybody, you know what to do. At them in the comments. I mean, you can at all of the fish if you want, but I'm sure if you just at the Antelope Fisherman, well, that'll count. But let's make that happen for them. And then for this next one, like I said before, sky's the limits, and it's pretty literal in this sense. But if you could perform anywhere in the world, and you wouldn't have to worry about crowd access or building stability or power, it's guaranteed the best lineup, guaranteed the best show, and it doesn't have to be a venue. In this situation, everything works. Where would you want to perform?
The Staples Center.
Okay, hell yeah,
major.
Yeah, no, that's definitely that's a solid spot,
right?
And I guess do you have like a personal attachment to that space, or is that just like
in my opinion, just like every time that I would always look at something that's going on, especially as a kid, it's always at the Staples Center.
Yeah.
Or like the Chase Center or something major like that. One of them big ass companies.
Oh yeah, no, I dig that for sure. And then to wrap up the hypothetical questions, if you could get one more album from anybody, they could be alive, they could be dead, they could have not put out an album in 100 years, they could have put out an album yesterday. Who would you want an album from?
Juice WRLD.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
For sure. There was a lot that came in mind, but Juice most definitely.
Yeah, no, definitely. Damn, yeah. I would love another album as well. All right, but with that being said, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping this up. What can we look forward to between, let's say, now and October?
April 26th, and 5 days from now, it's Santavo's birthday.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's hosted by my homie AliX. My homie Brady West is headlining over at Kelly's Olympian. It's only $10 to get in the door. Come slide through. Everybody, bring your mama, bring your grandma, your cousin. Me and DeadSec from Lucid Labs, we just dropped an EP called Need You. Go check that out on all major platforms. Other than that, just look out for shows and music videos, because we going crazy and we not stopping. So
hell yeah. It'll actually be 4 days from when this episode comes out. So definitely y'all, you know what to do. Make it happen.
Yeah.
And then for this next one, go and look straight at the camera and tell everybody how they can find you.
You can find me on any, like my Instagram handles, my Twitter, everything is the same, FOK_Lil Mighty. You can literally go on Google, type in Lil Mighty. I have my own musical artist bracket. You can find me there. Spotify, Lil Mighty. Everything's Lil Mighty. So if you want to find me, just type in my name.
Oh, yeah. And then any other plugs, any other shout outs, anybody else you want to put on while you're on here?
Yeah, shout out AliX. Shout out Momentum.
Oh, hell yeah.
Momentum's been going
Momentum
crazy, bro.
That episode just came out right before yours.
Yeah. So shout out Momentum for a fact. He's been going crazy. I'm really proud of bro. So, yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's it, pretty much.
All right, then we've got one last question to go. But before we do, I'm going to steal the camera for just a second.
Got you.
As always, y'all, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And one more shout out to the Brothers Apothecary. Make sure to click the link below and go check them out. I guarantee you're going to like it. And with that being said, the final question. And this is entirely up to your interpretation. But what is an album you feel is more on the obscure side? So it's a deep cut. Not a lot of people would know it, but it's one you think everybody should go check out.
Like any music? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. Fucking Airplanes, B.O.B. Whatever that album was. The Bobby Lee Strikes Back, whatever.
Oh, okay, hell yeah.
Bobby Ray Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that album was really fire. I feel like people only know Airplanes on it because of the Eminem, but like that whole album itself is super fire, and it's kind of old school too.
Hell yeah, no, that's definitely a solid rack.
Yeah.
All right, and with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get up on out of here. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, hell yeah.
It was a pleasure.
And this has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's JamBox. I'm Jimmy.
I'm Lil Mighty. Third Eye Goonies.
And we're signing off. Later, y'all.
That's a wrap.
This is not a podcast. Keep jamming.